Chapter 1 The Proposal. From the point of view of Sapna. Tring, tring. The bell on my cell phone rang, waking me up to the warm embrace of the sun's rays that fell over my face like a golden string of bliss through the parted linen window curtains of my bedroom. It was not a common luxury for someone like me to experience a delightful sunrise after a peaceful night's sleep, who was perpetually busy treating the injured in army cantonments across entire West Bengal. It was crucial to find a balance between personal and professional life. Hopping out of my queen-size bed, I made my way to the window to glimpse over the serene streetscape of the ancient city of Calcutta. I always preferred a calm atmosphere to ease my stressful life, and the area where I lived complemented my need for peace. Hello, Dr. Sapna Verma here. I answered the call from an unknown number, waiting for the caller to introduce himself or herself. Miss Verma, it's Karthik Ghoshal. Do you remember me? The man with a grave voice chuckled. Karthik Ghoshal. I ran my fingers through my ruffled brown hair before recognizing him. I remember you, of course. Mr. Karthik was one of my patients about 2 years ago. Despite being a 55-year-old hefty man, he established a friendly rapport with me while I was treating him. As the paramount head of the National Security Department in Calcutta, I respected him more than just a stern law enforcer. We had first met when Mr. Karthik visited a Maoist-hit area and survived a near-fatal bullet wound, but his treatment came later. Earlier that day, I had pushed him out of a bullet's trajectory, taking a hit on my knuckles. On that unfortunate day, I was on duty in the terror-stricken area where I overheard the secret expedition of the Maoists. I immediately relayed it to Mr. Karthik, since it was also my passion to gather information on terrorist activities whenever I visited such highly sensitive areas. Mr. Karthik had always been grateful to me for saving his life that day, and he continued to express his gratitude every time we met. He made me feel special sometimes. After all, praise from a security officer was always a prized possession of someone like me. That's so generous of you, Miss Verma. Are you in the city or still out there somewhere in the forests? His sense of humor sometimes made me burst into laughter. He loved to tease me about my trainer's job. I'm in the city, Mr. Karthik. Is this your new number? I tried to clarify with him. Yes, the number is for my personal use, he replied, stressing the word personal. Is there something important you want to share with me? I asked confusingly. Not everything can be discussed over the telephone. We need to meet. I will send you the address, he said, disconnecting the call and sending a message soon after. The address he sent me was the location of a cafeteria, and I affirmed it. The meeting was due for 6 o'clock in the evening. By 4:30, I was in front of the mirror to check my outfit. Dabbing a little face powder to suit my warm skin tone, I dressed up in a grey sweatshirt and blue denim. Slipping my feet into a pair of trendy sneakers, I highly appreciated my height of 5 feet and 7 inches. With the silver-studded earrings and a sling bag hedged loosely against the length of my arm, I was now ready to depart. While walking along the streets of Calcutta, I kept my conscience stuck to the hustle and bustle of the place, where there were vendors selling fish, vegetables and other items at a very minimal price. When the right bus approached, I boarded it. I could hear the bus conductor's voice alerting his passengers. Ripon Street. I stuck my tongue out when I read the time on my watch. It was 7 minutes late. Locating the prescribed cafe within 3 minutes, I hurried through the entrance. It was a medium-sized cafe with rounded tables laid neatly, and on one of them I could see Mr. Karthik sitting with a magazine and shaking his legs impatiently. As I stood before him with accumulated courage, he darted his brown eyes at me with a not-so-impressed look on his long, elongated and wrinkled face. He was a bulky man with a little moustache, but cleanly shaved under his chin. Welcome, Madam Verma. Don't you think you're quite early? He teased, folding the sleeves of his blue cam shirt. I'm sorry, I didn't delay intentionally. You know the Kolkata traffic. I tried to maintain cordial eye contact with him. Don't be formal. I was just kidding. Let's get directly to the purpose of this meeting, he said, gazing at the magazine again. Is our meeting related to the magazine? Somewhat. Look. He shifted the magazine towards me. The cover page was dated almost 3 months prior to the present, and its focus was the renowned real estate owner Siddharth Singhania. What am I supposed to do with this? I asked, wondering why Mr. Karthik wanted me to go through such a thing. A lavish real estate owner wasn't my topic of discussion. You are supposed to buy real estate for yourself. Mr. Karthik winked an eye wittily as usual, taking the cup of iced tea to his lips and passing over the glass of margarita towards me. I know you are a bit too confused. I clasped the glass of margarita between my palms. I'm really at a loss for words, Mr. Karthik. Will you tell me why I need to buy real estate? Ha, I'm kidding. You don't need to buy real estate. He was laughing, catching me off guard. You just need to treat the ailing real estate owner. All this time, he was kidding, and I was stupid to believe his lame jokes. I knew sometimes I didn't understand the things happened around me, but I like to consider things simply without exaggerating them. I get it. It's your general habit of kidding with every serious issue. I flipped the pages of the magazine rapidly. Do you really want me to look after this famous personality who earns millions? I need the clever woman in you for my work, dear. You are going to do exactly this. He replaced the magazine on the table. I am recruiting you on this behalf. I will not do it. I refused directly to work for him. You know I don't accept personal recovery cases. I am a government medical representative who is liable to public service only. You need to help me if you want to see many needy people saved soon. He threw me a stern gaze until I reconsidered my decision. Can you please elaborate? I said, sipping on my drink. This billionaire deals with immense fortunes, and I don't like rich people a lot. Miss Verma, he is not only among the richest businessmen in the city, but also a blessing in disguise. He musters black money from the wealthy and distributes it among the poor. He gave me a wide explanation while bending forward across the table. You mean a Robin Hood in the 21st century? I have another good reason for you to help me. He is a very able secret agent of mine. He helps me in nabbing other big black marketeers, dealing with real estate and uprooting the poor from their habitats. I think I will patronize you, but I need to inform the medical board before accepting your offer, I said, sounding somewhat convinced. Don't worry about that. I will forward the letter on your behalf, and they won't refuse the security department to send us a doctor for an important task. He smiled, looking at the time on his watch. But doesn't it seem to recover only a single patient personally? I was still confused about the new offer. That's not a part of my daily duties. It was something practically true. I was not in the habit of looking after patients personally. My profession was meant for the public. I would be missing my duties for the next few weeks to cure the affluent businessman. It would mean a lot of sacrifice for me. I might even hate myself. No, Miss Verma, I won't be sending you for only this silly cause. Though I want Siddharth to get cured, there are other reasons too. He inhaled deeply and I narrowed my eyes in concentration. You will go there on a secret mission since you also have a passion for it. Somebody has been trying to kill Siddharth for the past year. His intelligence has saved him multiple times, except for the last time. Luck doesn't favor you sometimes, you know. What's the secret mission? Since Siddharth is severely injured, I need someone to look after him as well as monitor every movement around him. The attacker is still out in the open, and you hold such expertise in it. Hence, I chose you over others to gather all the information for me. He ended his convincing speech in a single breath. Realization bolted me. I had to perform a tremendous task and also live with a complete stranger until he was cured. But it would seem extremely rude of me to refuse Mr. Karthik since he chose me over others to handle such a responsible job. I had always undertaken perilous task of passing secret information to him in the past, and this time he himself expressed his desire that he needed my help. I will help you, I assured him at last. You can't go to his house only as his doctor because there are media running behind him. They will be demanding a male doctor for him, perhaps. So, what am I supposed to do? You need to disguise yourself as his long term girlfriend to make an entry into his bungalow. He put forth an impossible condition. Do you have more conditions for me? I teased, preparing to get up. There is no way I am going to do that. I just can't stay with somebody pretending to be his girlfriend only to fulfill a task. Mr. Karthik yanked at my wrist and requested me to calm down. Come on, Miss Verma, don't be so silly. It will all be a drama until the culprit is unveiled. Has Mr. Singhania agreed to it? He knows nothing of my plans as of now. Once he meets and gets to know you, I will disclose it because his approval is important for us to proceed. I needed your approval at first, he pleaded, squeezing my arm. I also want to see what he is like as a person. If I really find it suitable to work with him, I am with you in this mission. Saying so, we both left the cafe together while he detailed to me the city hospital where Mr. Singhania was admitted. We are meeting at 7 tomorrow on the hospital premises. Be properly dressed because the first impression is the last impression. I want him to like you under any circumstances. He winked at me before waving a last goodbye. That night, as I slept, I kept wondering about the task given by Mr. Karthik, about what Mr. Singhania would be like, and also about Mr. Karthik's last words. The first impression is the last impression. And I knew I had to live up to his expectations the next day. Chapter 2. Is she stabbed? The first impression is the last impression. Mr. Karthik's words lingered in my ears until the next morning, waiting to fill my life with more challenges ahead. What exactly did he mean by the word impression? Was physical appearance so important to impress anyone? Was I really a critic of external appearance, or was I interpreting Mr. Karthik's words in a wrong way? I shuffled through the clothes stacked in my cupboard to decide my attire. After a long conflict with my outfits, I eventually selected a white tunic with a pair of matching palazzo. Keeping my hair intact in a long ponytail, I applied a thin layer of kohl around the brim of my eyes. To make my impression more impactful, black wedge heels would be suitable. The bus to the city hospital dropped me before time in front of the hospital lobby. There were still 10 minutes left until 7, and I preferred taking a brisk walk around the hospital. Mr. Karthik reminded me he would reach in time exactly at 7. I reached the boundary wall at the backyard unmindfully while roaming like a lost wanderer and perceived something very doubtful. A young man in his early 30s was rotating his uncovered eyes around the hospital, though he had kept his face hidden against the hood of his jacket. I noticed him staring intensely at the floor of the building above, trying to figure out something. An immediate gut feeling gnawed at my sinews when I saw him trying his best to climb the pipeline connecting each floor. Hiding immediately behind the boundary wall, I made sure he wouldn't sense my presence. The man made a call to someone before climbing. Are you sure you reached the floor where Singhania is? Be careful. If you need any help, call me. I didn't know what the speaker on the other end responded to, but I could hear this man replying, Fine, I'm waiting downstairs. Complete your task and move out quickly. It was difficult to decide in such a serious situation. Were they discussing the same Mr. Singhania that Mr. Karthik had spoken about? Because there were people lurking around to kill him, they wouldn't miss a chance. What could I do now? Should I directly catch hold of the man in the hood or attempt to save Mr. Singhania? His other partner had already reached the floor where Mr. Singhania was admitted. Without wasting even a second, I rushed to the reception and fell against the counter, panting heavily. The receptionist of short stature glanced up at me and frowned, waiting for me to speak. When I didn't, she leaned forward and casually observed me. Please tell me the ward number where Mr. Siddharth Singhania is admitted. I fell short of breath. I need to meet him urgently. The Billionaire's ward? I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't have the provision to disclose the details to any stranger. The lady simply refused to let me in. A brilliant idea struck me. I am a would-be Mrs. Singhania. We are in a relationship and will soon marry each other. I am also a doctor by profession. I showed my professional identity cards to her, all thanks to Mr. Karthik's mastermind that I could cook up some stories for her to believe. Let me check if your name is entered on the list of allowed visitors for Mr. Singhania. The lady started going through her database while I kept sending prayers to God. I also kept wishing that Mr. Karthik would arrive in time and rescue me from everything. Ma'am, your name is entered here, Sir Ghoshal, the lady declared, but before she could complete her sentence, I disappeared along the stairs within seconds. Upon reaching halfway, I realized I did not know the exact ward or the floor of Mr. Singhania's. I rushed downstairs again and impatiently inquired of the receptionist. He is in ward number 205 on the second floor. I heard the details from the lady and rushed as hastily as I could, skipping the number of steps and reaching the second floor in a few seconds. I stood gazing at the narrow passageway before me. The floor was devoid of any visitor, and I feared the worst. There were multiple locked doors along the corridor, and I tiptoed near each of them to read the number plates. My heart began pounding in my chest. As I moved from one door to the other, I was already palpitating until 203, 204, 205. I reached ward number 205. The gate seems to be locked, I thought to myself. I could not decide whether I should knock or wait. What if the attacker was inside and had already performed his intentional deed? Why would Mr. Singhania lock himself up when the doctors and the nurses needed to visit him from time to time? Before more questions could clog my brain, I broke into the room. Fortunately, the door was not jammed with a lock, and I flung it open with an unsure mind. I collided with someone much stronger than me and rolled over to the corner table, hurting my knees. I took a few seconds to recover from the collision before looking up at the person I had crashed into. He was a strongly built figure standing next to the door and glowering at me, his eyes bulging. He was wearing a pair of rounded spectacles that covered half of his face and a white smock covering the upper half of his body. Before he could blurt out anything to me, I sensed something wet near my lower belly. Was blood oozing out of my stomach? Had the person I collided with stabbed me first instead of Mr. Singhania? Was he the other attacker? I didn't find anyone in the room except for the person I had collided with. As I gazed down at my white tunic, it was entirely drenched in blood. But to my surprise, I was not feeling any pain. The sturdy figure was still staring at me instead of running away. Slowly skimming the surface of my stomach to resist the outflow of more blood, I made a strange discovery. There were no wounds inflicted upon me, but the patches of blood smeared on my dress were for real. What have you done to Mr. Singhania? I threw my question directly at him, taking a risk with my life. The person took a step towards me before howling. What did you do? You crushed the last pouch of O-positive blood I was going to supply to Mr. Singhania. You messed up everything. Oh, I could see him holding the empty pouch with some blood stains in it. I'm sorry, but who are you and where is Mr. Singhania? I am his doctor, appointed officially to look after him. He responded, losing his calm. How will I save him now? I took my identity card out of my bag and held it before him. I am a representative of the Government Medical Board, but I am here as Mr. Singhania, Siddharth's girlfriend. I didn't know if I played my cards right, but I needed to grip the strongs tightly to find out more about Mr. Singhania. I am instructed by the police not to entertain anybody as Mr. Singhania's visitor casually. He apologized grimly. I was getting scared with the passage of time, and my eyes kept searching for my would-be client as I asked, "Now will you tell me where he is?" "He has been shifted to the ICU again because blood was leaking from his wounds. I was here to fetch the last pouch of blood, but," he briefed me, getting nervous on the spot. My mouth fell open, eyes filled with guilt. "Is his condition severe?" "Yes. The collision spoiled everything. Now we don't have any leftover stock of blood." He shut his eyes in apology. I had created a grave blunder in haste. Spoiling the only leftover pouch of blood, I had put Mr. Singhania's life at stake. There was also the fear of attackers roaming around the hospital campus. Though Mr. Singhania was now not in the risk of getting murdered since he was not present in his original ward, his life was at risk because of my rapidity. Mr. Karthik would never forgive me unless I compensated for the loss. "I am O positive too. Can I donate mine?" I pleaded, and my words brought a satisfactory smile to the doctor's lips. He nodded and led me to the blood donation room, most probably to examine my blood and allow me later. I didn't remember when I regained my senses. As I opened my eyes giddily, everything seemed so hazy around me. A medicine pallet was lying on the right, and my veins were pinned using intravenous therapy. My body was aching while I was stretched out on a hospital bed. With a slight headache and minor pain behind my eyes, I slowly turned to the other side, careful enough not to hurt the intravenous procedure. On the stretcher to my left, there was someone sleeping soundly, a white blanket pulled halfway over his body. His dark tousled hair was shimmering against the gleam of golden rays entering through the miniature window pane. A gleam of unpleasant worries lurked over his pale, wavering face, his forehead forming creases and cheeks withering from the surgical procedures. Despite all these unfavorable appearances, I would easily admit that his godly appearance and the charm on his face were captivating enough to appease me. It was next to impossible to get a clear impression of him, since he was lying on the stretcher with his eyes closed, his long eyelashes covering the light dark spots below his eyes. He seemed to be someone I could admire from afar because of his striking features and sturdy figure. He possessed good height, most probably 6 feet or more, since his legs were almost hanging out by a couple of inches from the railings of the stretcher. "Mr. Siddharth Singhania," I whispered, inhaling a deep breath upon thinking of the big name. I had seen him only in newspapers and magazines, but witnessing someone so popular with my naked eyes was the ultimate bliss. As I continued studying his features, he looked different from what I had seen him in the photographs. I might even look more into these aspects when he opened his eyes and spoke to the one whose blood had been running in his veins for the past hour. My ventured thoughts returned to reality when the door to the room creaked open and a familiar face emerged in front of me. I was both surprised and happy to see Mr. Karthik in front of me. "Miss Verma, doing well?" Mr. Karthik smiled while caressing my forehead. I nodded slightly, and he gently reciprocated in my adversity. He then walked over to Mr. Singhania and placed a palm on his shoulder. "Siddharth, are you feeling better now?" I kept staring at the two of them when Mr. Singhania opened his eyes after a brief pause, nodding his head to affirm the same. Mr. Karthik spoke again. "There she is, the one who restored your life, not only once, but on 2 successive occasions. She donated blood to you and guarded you against unusual activity." I wondered how Mr. Karthik knew everything, even though he couldn't be present at the scenes all the time. He was definitely speaking of the palpitations I faced to save Mr. Singhania from the attackers earlier, and second, donating my blood to him. The security head proved to be a definite stringent vigilant. Mr. Singhania tilted his face carefully to look at his savior, his light stubble under the chin now coming into my view. I didn't know how to react in such a grave situation, trying hard to suppress the stimuli rushing within me when my eyes met his. Chapter 3. His Invisible Pain. It took me a few seconds to revert to reality when his dark blue eyes met mine. Each was a color that appeared in the oceans of the fantasy tales, abruptly conversing about something, but out of my comprehension. I was instantly pulled into admiration as he stared at me, wondering what it would be like in the future when he would stand before me like a stout gentleman. I averted my gaze from him. I didn't want to visualize someone who was supposed to be my falsified boyfriend. The rarest thought of the deal choked my breath as I wasn't prepared for such an encounter. I was lying on a hospital bed with blood smeared on my dress, and the first meeting with the rich tycoon turned out to be so embarrassing. Mr. Karthik's words disturbed me once again. Now I know my first impression wasn't good at all. Is she my savior? I heard Mr. Singhania speak, appalling me again. Though I had heard his voice earlier on television, this was something different. He was speaking with a gap of only a few feet between us. His voice trembled because of weakness, but it sounded like a soothing melody to my ears. It was neither gruff nor smooth, but kind of wheezy, from which I could conclude the poor state of his aching body. She was here for a different cause, but got stuck donating blood. I heard Mr. Karthik's crisp voice. Then what for? Mr. Singhania asked, and I fixed my eyes elsewhere. I wasn't able to bring my brain to peace as Mr. Karthik's response was serious and Mr. Singhania's inquiries about me held more weightage. I will explain to you once you are out of this place, Siddharth. Please know that she is a reputed doctor who is assisting me to help you out of everything. She also needs to pretend that she is your long-term estranged girlfriend, Mr. Karthik explained, getting nearer to him. A feeling of extreme weirdness clinched my heart, the fear of how Mr. Singhania would react upon listening to a very insensible kind of proposal. Mr. Karthik always had peculiar ideas stacked up his sleeves, but this time he was trying hard to pair us as characters of a real-life story to catch hold of the culprit. A man of 55 years of age was behaving rather surreal. Are you out of your mind, sir? Mr. Singhania's undertone voice turned heavy, though he wasn't too quick to explode. You may find it illogical, but you must know how my ideas have been in various cases. I found no better idea than the one I proposed for your case. Believe me, I trust this woman. Mr. Karthik tried to explain to him. Will it be just a drama? I can't agree unless I converse with the woman personally. Mr. Singhania was struggling to make a quick decision, but was I liable to answer him in the first place? We will do that in your bungalow since this hospital isn't safe for discussions. For the few days you are here, pretend that she is your girlfriend who is also a doctor. You should be thankful to her for donating blood and give her a chance to prove herself for the task, Mr. Karthik stated diligently. His meticulous tongue always convinced everyone of his silly propositions. I turned my head and saw Mr. Singhania nodding in agreement with his proposal. It was thus made a temporary deal. He allowed a general public like me to go to his bungalow in exchange for my blood. It was evening when I met Mr. Karthik in the hospital lounge. Do you want to say something? I asked him, sensing the impatient expression marking his face. I knew that the morning incident was still perturbing his brain. Miss Verma, you are quite innocent. You hurried to save your would-be client and ended up donating him blood. Yet you didn't utter a single word regarding the meeting at his bungalow. I feel somewhat foolish after agreeing to help you, but falling into trouble and ending up donating my blood. I said, exhaling aloud. But how did you find out that I was in a hurry to save him? He chuckled before folding his arms. I was informed by the receptionist as soon as I entered the hospital at 7. I found out that you were breathing hard and nearly tripped on the stairs while rushing to meet Siddharth. Your actions prove that there was something wrong in the entire ordeal. I shook my head before narrating the doubtful incident of the two suspicious men to him, including the situation of how I donated blood to Mr. Singhania. I love donating blood and I also encourage others to do so, but why will I have to go through more screening tests organized by Mr. Singhania? Why will I allow him to know how I am as a person? I was totally irked and knew Mr. Karthik would easily realize it. You are being skittish for no reason. He is an undercover agent, so he can't trust you without knowing you. Believe me, he is a man with a heart of gold. Once he gets to know who you are, he will do anything to protect you. Mr. Karthik wanted to convince me again. Even I have proximity issues. I also can't stay with a stranger. I agreed because I believed you. Similarly, he too should have believed you. I directly reprimanded, being adamant as I always am. Don't forget that he is someone who has recently been attacked, and it is possible for him to not to trust me as well. He needs someone to hold him during his hard times, and I know it's only you who can do it. Mr. Karthik was already an expert at convincing people. I will, but I am leaving right now because I need to convince myself first. I stomped my feet and disappeared through the exit. Back in my apartment, I was growing restless. Some scenes were flashing before me and constantly disturbing my sleep. I woke up to a nightmare in the middle of the night and moved out of my bed. Sipping a little water, I began wondering about the attacker I had seen in the morning. Guilt gnawed at my heart for leaving the hospital in such an angry mood. Though I had agreed against my own principles to work for Mr. Karthik, wasn't it my responsibility to protect someone after being the sole witness to the unusual activity? How could the mere morning incident slip out of my mind? Rigorously blaming myself, I wrapped a stole over my tank top and moved out of the apartment. It was midnight, but I needed to check on Mr. Singhania. I warily used my emergency van, which was always parked in my garage, that helped me during emergencies at night. I rushed to the hospital with the aid of my driver and called Dr. Lavanya, who was my friend and worked in the same hospital where Mr. Singhania was admitted. Fortunately, she was on duty that night and promised to help me as much as possible. With the help of Lavanya, I reached safely the ward of Mr. Singhania. She was a slim lady with a beautiful heart who melted easily to everyone's needs. She was shorter than I and wore spectacles, unlike me. Do you know the rich tycoon personally? I heard people gossiping about you and him. Lavanya asked me while we walked upstairs together. I was prepared to answer her questions because I had already created a mess in the morning by openly declaring that I was the would-be Mrs. Singhania. No. Yes, we haven't seen each other for the last few months because of some normal relationship issues. But after learning of his health conditions, I couldn't resist myself. I was telling lies to her, but not liking a single bit of it. Telling lies to everyone about my relationship was wrong, but my mind was solely preoccupied with his safety at the moment. I was the only witness of the murderous attempt that morning. He was shifted to the ICU then, but now he must be alone in his ward. I shouldn't have left him even after knowing that his life was at risk. My conscience wouldn't allow me to ignore my responsibilities, and Mr. Karthik had also entrusted me with them. But you didn't mention to me earlier that he was your boyfriend. She asked a simple question, but I was constructing
complex answers to it. I never wanted to disclose my relationship with a rich tycoon for fear of the media because I worked in sensitive areas. I didn't know whether my answers were convincing, but everything was falling into place. The reasons I provided seemed valid, and I could tell she was convinced. Do you think he will marry you? Lavanya continued with her inquiries, rendering me nervous this time. I thanked the Almighty when we reached the second floor. Mr. Singhania was shifted to the ward after his condition had stabilized. I excused myself and entered his ward, which was dark and clingy. As I switched on my mobile torch, I heard soft crying moans coming from somewhere in the room. Holding my mobile firmly, I saw Mr. Singhania cooped up in a corner of the cold floor with his arms wrapped around his trembling knees. He was weeping silently, and the wall of hatred I had built around my heart against him came tumbling down. The urge to help him out of this drastic trauma overtook me. I rushed to him at once and touched his shoulder cautiously. His knee was bandaged and his torso was wrapped with medical dressing. The painful vision blurred my mind, and I wasn't getting any idea of how to deal with it. Mr. Singhania pushed me at once when he felt my feathered touch on his shoulder. He seemed scared of something, as hinted by his sharp glance towards me. Don't be near me. I don't want to get killed. I was not at fault. He snapped at me while I raised my hands in his support. I was taken aback upon finding an undercover agent in such a horrible state. The terror must have been worse than expected, which was still completely unknown to me. Mr. Singhania, I am Dr. Sapna Verma. Do you remember Mr. Karthik appointing me for you? I am here to protect you. We met in the morning. I tried to resemble softer and convincing expressions in my eyes by holding the ignited torch against my face so that he could recognize me. You are wounded. You should not move vigorously at all. Tell me if you need anything. I tried to be careful with him and lent my hand to help him. Being an expert in handling such traumatic cases, I would do anything to save my new client's life. He brushed his body roughly against the hard concrete wall, having no help during his pitiful condition. I wondered if somebody had tried to attack him again when he was left alone in the room. The inevitable fear in his eyes was saying it all. His eyes narrowed as he observed me cautiously. I sensed victory when he finally crawled towards me and caught hold of my arms. He muttered something bluntly in a fit of agony, and I loosened my grip on his hands a little. I was taken aback when he tightened his hold on me, wrapping his arms around my waist in a steel grip and hiding his face in the depression of my chest. He was sobbing and hugging my torso like a koala bear clinging to its favorite tree. There was also a sort of rawness in his whimpering moans. His inner pain seemed to be like an open wound, wanting to clasp onto anything he got near him. I stayed there motionless, providing him the comfort he needed until he withdrew from me. Chapter 4. Her Patient. Mr. Singhania clutched my waist with all his might as I rubbed his tousled hair. I was providing him with the comfort that he sought from me, his shaking fist clenched against my hips, fighting a desperate battle against some unknown grief that I could not comprehend. A lone tear trickled down his face onto my cleavage, though the stole covered me halfway above my tank top. I witnessed his sore eyes through my torch, revealing mists of agony troubling him. A pang of sympathy cut across my chest as he laid his head next to my bosom and allowed me to caress his hair. His chest touched mine, and I could feel his heartbeat pounding heavily against my skin. He was running short of breath and needed a little time to compose his nerves. His hold on me was too tight to be detached, compelling me to remain affixed in the same position as him. As we stayed frozen together, I slightly tilted my head and looked toward the bedside table. There were medicines and a paper lying on it, which I guessed to be the doctor's prescription. Being a doctor myself, I was aware of the right dose he required for his illness to be cured, but I didn't know the right amount of comfort he needed for his pain to be mitigated. As we sat in the same position for quite some time, listening to the sound of the ticking clock ceaselessly, I felt his chest relaxing and heartbeat slackening gradually, and his nerves were sedating back to normal. I brought the mobile closer and stared into his face again. His eyes were tightly shut, though he still had his arms engulfing me. He was inhaling intensely while his body was fast asleep. I moved from my position and wrapped my arms around his shoulders. Pushing his shoulders lightly so that his back touched the wall, I reached for the medicines on the table. Quickly glancing through the prescription, I grabbed the tranquilizer at first. The doctor had already prescribed him sedatives, but his condition had turned severe only because he hadn't been supplied with the night dose in time. With a glass of water in my hand, I cupped his cheeks softly, parted his cracked lips, and plunged the right sedative into his mouth. He gobbled it in his semi-conscious state and fell into deep slumber again. I smiled at having performed my duty for the night, but was infuriated by the negligence of the doctors in charge. I glanced at the time on my mobile, and it was already 1:30. I was not ready to leave Mr. Singhania in such a pathetic condition. Snuggling beside him, I sat with my knees stretched, my shoulder touching his arm and my back dashing against the wall. It wouldn't be wrong to admit that I was there as his protector. Pondering over the miserable case of Mr. Singhania, I didn't realize when I fell asleep beside him, my head resting on his firm shoulder and my arm snaking around his waist. A light pat on my shoulder broke my sleep, and I snapped open my eyes. Mr. Karthik was staring down at me, daylight shining brightly around us. I was taken aback when I saw Mr. Singhania was already lying on the bed, and the embarrassment stung me when I recalled our position in sleep during the previous night. Mr. Karthik, I stirred my head in confusion when Mr. Karthik passed a light smirk. Miss Verma, don't feel embarrassed. He was sleeping peacefully beside you when I came into the room. But what were you doing here last night? Have you both spoken to each other? He asked me casually, but I was embarrassed. I never expected him to find me in such a situation with Mr. Singhania. I actually had a gut feeling somebody might attack him, so I rushed here in the middle of the night. I found him cooing and fed him the medicine. He slept silently after that. But where is his doctor? I need to talk to him. I paused before yelling for his doctor, who came rushing into the room. He was the same man I had collided with the previous day. Dr. Sen, do you people ignore your patients and leave them to die? What's wrong, Dr. Verma? You should be ashamed of leaving a serious patient alone in the room and not providing the required medicine in time. Didn't Gaurav feed him the medicine? The doctor called out to the caretaker. Instead, a nurse came rushing inside. Sir, I saw Gaurav leaving the hospital early last night. How can he be so irresponsible? I shouted before looking over to Mr. Karthik, who was nodding at me. He was getting impressed with the kind of investigation I was undertaking. I am sure Gaurav won't return tonight. If I hadn't reached on time, Mr. Singhania could have died from overstimulation of his nerves. He was struggling even to breathe. As I spoke in a doleful voice, Mr. Singhania giddily opened his eyes. He stared silently at us, holding his blanket in a pensive mood. We will try to be more careful next time, the doctor apologized, while I shook my head. I can't allow Mr. Singhania here anymore. He is not safe at the hospital. Please get his discharge papers ready. I will be taking him home and approving of him as my patient officially, I declared, and found Mr. Singhania gazing at me. His eyes portrayed neither anger nor refusal, but something that I couldn't decipher. Now that I had witnessed the pain he was suffering from, I was more determined to cure Mr. Singhania and solve the mystery at any cost. Mr. Karthik smiled when he heard the confidence in my voice and gestured to me to go ahead with my decisions. The doctor still tried to deny it, but Mr. Karthik came to my rescue, supporting me in my decision. The final approval was provided by Mr. Singhania, who spoke feebly for the first time that morning, surprising everyone in the room. Sapna will fetch me home and take over as my doctor. I don't want more arguments, Mr. Singhania ordered like an arrogant billionaire, calling me by my first name, which sounded heavenly when it escaped his mouth. I didn't know why I felt fascinated when he took my name or spoke in my favor. He must have realized that I was the one who could protect him against all odds. Dr. Sen didn't argue further and left the room to get ready with the discharge papers. After some time, the three of us moved out of the hospital with Mr. Singhania in a wheelchair. I gripped the push handles while rolling him along the full length of the corridor, and Mr. Karthik walked next to me. As we neared the lobby, the media approached Mr. Singhania and inquired about him. Sir, Miss Verma is rumored to be your estranged girlfriend. Is it true? Why did you entrust your responsibility to her suddenly? How can she spend the night with you at the hospital? Another reporter asked in disgust, and I felt like puking at her. She returned to your life because you have money, sir. Won't you consider even once she wasn't with you during her hard times? Did you forgive her easily? How can you trust her in such a sensitive issue? The dirty questions were traveling faster than light. Sapna is not only my girlfriend but also a reputed doctor. I have loved her throughout my entire life and I trust her wholly. Stop blaming her for no reason, Mr. Singhania retorted loudly before gripping my palm, filling the spaces between my fingers with his. The heat from his skin radiated into mine, electrifying my nerves. What if she is the one who is your mysterious attacker and has returned to kill you? One of the male reporters spoke, and I could feel Mr. Singhania tensing, his grip on my palm growing tighter than before. I have just mentioned that I trust her with all my heart. We both reconciled last night. She was always there to protect me. I don't find any reason to blame her. We were having some issues in our relationship, which is very common. But she couldn't control her emotions once she found out I was fighting for my life in the hospital. He explained before glancing at me and smiling back. Mr. Singhania was pretending better than we did, but his words seemed to raise a tempest in my heart for some underlying reasons. He wasn't in good health but couldn't bear the media insulting me. I suddenly remembered Mr. Karthik's words, who had told me that Mr. Singhania was a man with a golden heart and he would do anything to protect me. My thoughts were interrupted when I heard Mr. Karthik's voice. Didn't you all hear what Siddharth said? Now please move out of our way. We understand what he explained to us, but that doesn't mean Miss Verma will be accepted in his bungalow. He has hidden his relationship from us, and a woman suddenly reappears in his life, deciding to stay with him in his house. The media were reluctant to move aside. We are going to get married after we leave the hospital. My lawyer is waiting at my bungalow for us. I do not think you will have any problems if I stay with my wife. Shall we depart now? I heard Mr. Singhania's hoarse voice again, his hand gently placed at the side of my hip as if he wanted to protect me from everything. My inner emotions began to flutter and dance to the tune of his stern replies to the media. We were content that he finally lent his support to us, equally wanting to capture the real culprit behind the attacks. The reporters stared at one another in despair while the police paved our way safely to the car. Everything was arranged by Mr. Karthik, and I knew Mr. Singhania was going to owe him a lot. We reached the corner of Wellington Street where the roads diverged into two separate lanes. Our car halted in front of the gigantic bungalow of Mr. Singhania, which was glistening under the valiant rays of the sun. We stepped out of the car while Mr. Singhania was put on the wheelchair by Mr. Karthik. As we entered through the entrance, the long gravel path with well-manicured lawns on either side added more to the elegant beauty of the estate. The red brick walls with marble graffiti on the framed rims of the windows and doors dominated its marble structure. I continued admiring the place until we reached the enormous wooden glass door of the entrance. Mr. Karthik tugged at my wrist and replaced the push handles of the wheelchair with my soft palms. He is your responsibility now. But, Mr. Karthik, how can I stay here? Even the media were insulting me. I expressed my worries. Don't worry, we will handle everything once our target is achieved. Please try to adjust together, and it is a request to both of you. Mr. Karthik tried hard to convince us. I need to get my luggage here, I told him, deciding not to exaggerate in the discussions anymore. Mr. Karthik replied, You can fetch it when I visit in the evening. Now get some rest. We will discuss our plans later. I simply nodded. I will try my best to handle everything. Mr. Karthik turned to Mr. Singhania. Siddharth, be a good man and assist her with whatever she says so that your health improves under her careful supervision. I saw Mr. Singhania shaking his head. I have entrusted my life to your faithful doctor, sir. I hope she will live up to my expectations. Mr. Karthik smiled at us and left the mansion in quick succession. I bit my lower lip because of the brewing tension inside me. I was now left alone with the not-so-stranger in his own bungalow.
Chapter 5 Living with a Stranger. I pushed Mr. Singhania's wheelchair through the wooden porch door of his bungalow and into a large living room with a chandelier hanging in the middle of the plastered ceiling. I cherished the decorated hallway, which had a combination of mural paintings and mosaic tiles on the beige-colored walls. The squared windows were arranged in a straight horizontal line on the walls with a brief gap between them, giving enough room for the air to circulate easily inside the vestibule. We reached the resting area where a middle-aged man came running to us. He was holding a cooking spatula in his hand while waggling his huge moustache. He had bulging enormous eyes which glared at me as if he had encountered a ghost. Sir, are you married to this lady? I saw the news, he asked, snorting through his nose in disgust. I felt pathetic with the way everyone was inquiring about me and expressing their feelings of disgust. I had never thought that pretending to be a girlfriend to a billionaire would be so difficult, earning me only rapid insults. Mr. Singhania nodded his head in affirmation, and the man stared at me again. I averted my gaze to avoid direct eye contact with him. Kamal, can you show Sapna my room? From the baggy old clothes Kamal was wearing, I could guess he was Mr. Singhania's servant. As he diligently obeyed his master's orders, I released the wheelchair for him to carry it. I followed them behind, taking a turn towards the right end of the corridor on the ground floor before halting in front of a rustic wooden door. Kamal unlocked the door for us and eventually led us into a majestic bedroom. He looked angrier each time he stared at me. He must not be satisfied with my stay in Mr. Singhania's room. I was facing the same dilemma too, my mind not agreeing to share a room with someone so unknown. Mr. Singhania gestured to Kamal to leave. Now prepare some lunch for us.
As Kamal departed, I found my mouth losing the ability to speak. I was still feeling uncomfortable sharing a room with Mr. Singhania. Living in his bungalow and most importantly in his personal room was itself a luxury, but I couldn't bring my mind to peace with my inner conscience. The king-size bed in the middle of his enormous room was coupled with a bedside table which had an ornamental flower vase on top of it. His bed was neatly laid with printed floral expensive bedsheet. The mosaic paintings hanging on the walls were exorbitantly priced, and the table lamp next to the window added more to the beautiful scenery of the room. There was also a soothing aroma that could automatically turn the mood on for any ill-tempered human being. As I admired the beauty of the neatly maintained room, I heard Mr. Singhania chuckle. I saw him staring at the engraved mirror on the wall that held my image. I immediately rotated my eyes to look, which filled my heart with horror. My entirely drenched image was clearly visible and it looked horrible. My hair was crusted in randomly tangled curls, and the kohl I had applied the previous night was smudged all over my eyes, giving me the look of a petty demon. I was still wearing my night suit, comprising the tank top and balloon pants, both of which were badly creased. I felt ashamed of myself for having reached his bungalow in such pitiful attire. Now I wondered if Kamal was right. In fact, anybody who knew Mr. Singhania personally would not agree that I was his girlfriend. Change your clothes first, then we will talk. Mr. Singhania directed me in his usual hoarse voice. His words infuriated me. I could not understand what there was to talk about after everything had been sorted out. I think all our discussions must include Mr. Karthik, and I couldn't discuss anything with only Mr. Singhania. Don't you think you're trying to flatter me? What on earth struck you with the idea that I would share a room with you? This was the first time that I was conversing with him in his consciousness. He widened his eyes in rage. I am not in the habit of being chided or listening to people's silly rants. Son entrusted my safety in your hands, and I thought to incline the same faith in you. I am not interested in sharing my room with a stranger. He groaned louder, resting one of his hands on the armrest of his wheelchair. I deadpanned at his words. Then keep in mind that we are going to stay in different rooms. To hell with your nonsense. If we stay separate, my servants or other visitors will start doubting us. If you stay away, how will you monitor everything to protect me? Anyone can sneak into my room and kill me. He was an oracle with his speech and more skillful than Mr. Karthik in convincing others. Sadly, I was the most incompetent of the three of us. He structured his eyes in the most convincing way, giving me a vivid description to agree to his detailed proposition. I was startled by his use of words and stared blankly at him. He was glowering at me with a frowned forehead, as if he could read the upsetting expressions on my face. He continued when he perceived my silence. Don't worry, Dr. Sapna Verma. Even if we appear as a couple in public, we can behave as strangers inside the room. Be confident that I won't be taking advantage of your presence. I am an honest man. He mumbled genuinely, but plastered a wide smirk on his lips, shuddering me from within. I had never pondered the logic of two young adults staying under the same roof, sharing the same room but behaving like total strangers. My fear was inevitable, being a woman, especially an unmarried woman. He was also unmarried, and things were too complicated between us. Indian society still considered it a taboo if an unmarried couple stayed together or shared a live-in relationship. We were teamed up for a good cause, but I was not sure if it would be acceptable to society. Our doctor-client relationship was unknown to the outer world because we were now the latest romantic sensation and spicy gossip for them. My only cause of worry at the moment was the treatment and safety of Mr. Singhania. I took a step backwards before announcing, I am liable to abide by the orders of Mr. Karthik. I can't help but agree with whatever you say. Please remember that my dignity is at stake in your hands, and it is also your responsibility to keep it safe." I declared it in a single breath, and my eyes were already welled up with salty tears. I shut my eyes to suppress them from trickling down, but they continued trailing their path along my cheeks. My inner conscience began coaxing me for agreeing to the deal of living with him, but then I had no choice. He spoke again, milder this time. "You don't need to be emotional at all. You are already undertaking a hazardous job, so these little things should not affect you. I hate people who exhibit emotional melodrama." Melodrama? He thought I was being emotional, but I wasn't, right? It was completely normal for any woman to behave in such a manner on such a sensitive social issue. "I won't exaggerate on the topic anymore. Let's make it a deal. We will behave as a happy couple outside this room and be total strangers inside of it." I finally agreed. It was only a matter of a few weeks, and I would move out of this mess as soon as things were settled for the better. Mr. Singhania nodded his head and tried to move his wheelchair, not having enough strength in his arms because of the wounds. Being sympathetic as always, I inched near him, clutching the handles of his wheelchair. Pushing it next to the bed and pausing to hear his opinion, I waited momentarily for him to speak. When he did not react, I asked, "Shall I help you?" I needed his permission to help him shift to his bed. "Of course, you're my doctor," came his quick reply, and I set my head backwards a little. His rapid response took me by surprise, since he was too fast to allow me to help him with everything. I felt awkward this time. I had taken care of male patients earlier, but Mr. Singhania's case was different. Pretending to be his false girlfriend had preoccupied my brain more than the seriousness of my duty. I shrugged off all my random thoughts and held his arms. He was trying to stand on his limping limbs and wrapped his hand around my shoulders for support. When he had settled down on the bed, I lifted his legs onto the mattress and positioned his pillow comfortably behind his back. It was rather strange that during all of it, we didn't meet each other's eyes, not even once. We both must be feeling embarrassed because of the uneasy tension brewing between us. As he reclined on the bed, I took out the medicines from his luggage. After he had consumed the pills, I decided to freshen up. Realization hit me when I discovered I was not carrying my belongings with me. "Is everything all right with you?" he asked in a soothing tone when he witnessed my perturbed face. "I don't have my luggage here. Mr. Karthik advised me to fetch them in the evening when he visits us. I can't leave you alone until he appears here," I told him, nodding my head in negation. "So what's there to worry about? You are a woman and can always use men's casuals. Grab a shirt and a pair of trousers from my wardrobe," he said, pointing his finger at his white gorgeous cupboard. A billionaire offering me his clothes and permitting me to touch his personal wardrobe was unbelievable. The whole day seemed like a fairy tale. I easily appeared in the news because of her false fling rumors and became the center of attraction for the media. I nodded my head and stepped forward, gazing at the enormous cupboard before me. Hesitating to touch someone's personal wardrobe at first, I reminded myself of his permission. When I opened it, the contents of the shelf surprised me. He had many overpriced collections of every branded clothing, from Armani suits to Gucci shoes and designer tuxedos. He possessed all of it. I instantly fell in love with his collections while selecting a white t-shirt and brown cargo pants. I hurried inside the loo with them. When I came out of the shower with my hair soaked in water, I found him snoring lightly in sleep with his hands stretched on either side of the bed. The innocence of his sleeping posture caught my heart off guard, fixing me in my position as I admired him. He did not possess enough whiskers under his chin, but his skin glimmered with the radiance of a perfectly handsome face. His elegant stature might also be one reason for him
to earn power and fame easily. His gracious debonair imbalanced my mental stability when I stared at my own image in the mirror. His clothes hadn't come fit for my slim body. My face was gleaming from the shower, but contained many imperfect blemishes compared to the godly figure sleeping in front of me. The reason was easily predictable. I was leading a considerably unfashionable, austere life, while he was living with all the luxurious amenities. Chapter 6 Annoying Visitors. While Mr. Singhania slept soundly, I sat on the comfy couch by the window of his room and grabbed a magazine based on health and hygiene. I was going through it to kill time, but accidentally fell asleep. I didn't get a comfortable sleep the previous night, and my head was also aching out of fatigue. My sleep broke when there was a loud knock on the door. It was 2:30 in the afternoon as I glanced at the clock and got worried for Mr. Singhania's safety. I found him awake and sitting upright on the bed. I was now regretting taking a brief nap without keeping my protective eye on him when he was asleep. There was a loud knock again, and my eyes met Mr. Singhania's. We both gaped at each other, horror creeping up my veins. I cautioned myself against opening the door before judging whoever was behind it. The attacker was lurking around every corner to kill him and could approach him in any disguised attire. Another loud bang left us in a terrifying situation, and I hid behind the wall next to the door frame. Things were tense inside the room until the man on the other side spoke. "Sir, your lunch is ready." It was Kamal, and we breathed a sigh of relief. Mr. Singhania first grinned at me and then answered, "You lay the tables, we are approaching in 5 minutes." I gawked at his silly grin. He couldn't imagine my fear. Protecting his life was my responsibility, and any negligence would be disastrous. I would die 100 deaths for the casualty caused because of my carelessness. I was a doctor by profession and couldn't be so insensible as to put my client's life at stake. "Are you done happily grinning so that we can move to the dining room?" I remarked annoyingly, not liking the fact that he was grinning when I was so tense about his welfare. "You seem to lose your patience quite hastily." He seethed and tried vigorously to move out of the bed. I ran towards him and caught hold of his arms to prevent him from falling. "What are you doing, Mr. Singhania? A little negligence on your part can cost you a lot. Can't you ask me for help?" I blurted out, tightening my grip on him. He shoved my hands away, sounding harsh. "You don't seem to be comfortable with me. I'll consent, sir, to get you replaced." His direct chiding felt like insulting arrows shooting at me in seconds. It was as if he had questioned my professional dignity, doubting my abilities for not being able to keep up with his desires. "Are you doubting my capabilities?" I asked, feeling humiliated to a great extent. "I am. You are someone whose eyes get clamped with fear at the sound of a knock. How will you protect me? I was sleeping and couldn't have protected myself." He seemed to be dissatisfied with me. "I was in a nap when it happened. I'm sorry, but that doesn't mean I'm incapable. It was an innocent mistake." I apologized, knowing that I was at fault. I shouldn't have slept through the afternoon after leaving him asleep. He had a valid point to be offended with me. "Mistakes can always be forgiven, Dr. Sapna Verma, but this case is something very different. Many innocent lives are attached to mine. More importantly, you need to be comfortable with the one you are dwelling with or working for." He explained proficiently, teaching me new lessons of life whenever he uttered something. I was an introvert and couldn't be comfortable with every person I met. He had studied me correctly, and why wouldn't he be? He was a prosperous young man of 28 years old, and I would turn 25 after 3 months. I wasn't very familiar with the way he viewed life. He always pondered long enough before speaking, and his words were highly impactful. "I'm trying to adjust to the new environment, and I'll do it soon. Please give me a little time. I pleaded with tears in my eyes. I could have stepped down from the case, but now I was more determined to prove myself as an able doctor and secret informer to Mr. Karthik. By the time you adjust, I may have been killed. His dense blue eyes glistened with an unknown fear. Please don't lose hope. I won't let anything happen to you. I squeezed his shoulders and he moaned under a heavy breath. My soothing touch might have comforted him to some extent. This is your first and last mistake, Dr. Verma. Don't repeat it or be ready to face the consequences, he ordered, earning an obedient nod from me. We completed our lunch in the next hour with Kamal's intolerant stare at me the time we ate. He might have made fun of me after seeing me in Mr. Singhania's loosely fitting clothes on me. I was becoming an object of people's entertainment without a choice. I shifted Mr. Singhania to his room after lunch and he decided to get some rest. He was on medical drugs and making him drowsy every hour that passed. I glanced around the room hoping to pass the time without falling asleep again. I did not want to repeat the same mistake. Arranging the fragrant flower pots neatly on the window sill, I was amazed to view the lovely open space in the front yard of the bungalow. The sound of my mobile ringtone disturbed my enthralling trance of the flowers, and I glanced at the screen. It was a call from one of my best childhood buddies, Anjali. My fingers trembled while picking up her call. My remote fling with Mr. Singhania was already in the news, and I did not like to tell lies to someone so close to me. Hello, Anjali, I mumbled, clearing my throat. What's it, Sapna? What's with the shocking news of you getting hitched to someone like the billionaire Siddharth Singhania? You didn't even let me know about your secret relationship with him. Her train of queries prattled to me with an upsetting tone in her voice. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to keep Siddharth's story a secret until confirmed. I stuttered while pretending to be his girlfriend. An unfamiliar feeling accumulated inside me when I uttered his name, an unknown happiness rising from within. But why did you decide to stay with him even after knowing that his life is at risk? I couldn't have left him alone in his grave condition. You sound indifferent, Sapna. I just wanted to confirm the news from you. Saying so, she disconnected the call, making me believe I had disappointed my friends with the hordes of lies. I could not even clarify my innocence to them until the case was solved. I moved to drop my phone on the bedside table when I found Mr. Singhania staring at me. I was afraid he had overheard my conversation with Anjali because I was conversing like his obedient girlfriend. His eyes were narrowed as if he were thinking something, but I could not understand what it was. Our eyes met again only to be disturbed by another call, but this time it was Mr. Singhania's phone that was ringing, not mine. He received the call immediately while I sat down on the couch, resting my back against the headrest of the couch. Where are you? You people are already here, he exclaimed after listening to the caller on the other end. I wasn't looking in his direction, but the silence in his voice revealed that he had disconnected the call. Sapna, can you fetch me to the living room? My friends are paying me a visit, he demanded in a pleading voice as if he was losing his patience, while I simply nodded my head. I could not understand what the matter was and why he was losing patience to reach the living room. Obeying his orders, I performed as instructed, rolling him on the wheelchair for another trip to the living room. We glided across the corridor to reach the living room when I saw a group of 4 young adults entering the bungalow through the main entrance. There were 2 young women and 2 young men, each of them dressed lavishly as if they belonged to affluent families. I was gazing at them in confusion when one woman came running towards Mr. Singhania and bent forward to embrace him. He reciprocated happily to her while I felt my heart instantly skip a beat. I didn't know why it happened, but my mind was now clouded with newer thoughts. Sid, how are you now?
Look at yourself, you look so flushed. You have suffered enough. The young lady with curly golden hair spoke in a tense voice, her palm clutching Mr. Singhania's hand in close proximity. Did she just call Mr. Singhania by a nickname? He also seemed to be quite friendly with her, as if she were someone very close to his heart. I stood there like a fool, watching their passionate moments until the other three visitors approached Mr. Singhania gradually. I am better now. You don't need to get worried, Mr. Singhania said, gently touching her cheek in assurance. They were conversing with each other so affectionately that I felt I was playing the gooseberry between the two. The girl was of normal height and visibly a few inches shorter than me. She had a fairer complexion compared to me, or rather had dabbed a lot of foundation on her face. She was wearing a knee-length off-the-shoulder bodycon dress accompanied by high pencil heels to impart a taller look to her short stature. Kiran, can you now stop getting bothered about him? Don't you see Siddharth has his girlfriend to take care of him now? A young man similar to Mr. Singhania's age intervened before staring at me for a few seconds and smiling as a polite gesture. He was comparatively taller than I, a pair of blue framed spectacles adorning his charming face. I smiled back at him, returning the kind gesture. The annoying girl's name was Kiran, and she glowered at him as if she weren't happy with what the young man had said. My eyes embarrassingly met hers, and she threw me an angry glare. I could not understand who they were, but I found Mr. Singhania very comfortable with them. Kiran strode on her high heels before stopping right in front of me. Her eyes were deeply piercing into mine when she imputed a sharp slap on my left cheek, leaving me in a state of ultimate shock. It happened so suddenly that I remained frozen there, speechless and motionless, before Kiran began throwing disgusting words at me. Are you the one who tricked Sid into this live-in relationship? Are you the one due to whom Sid's image is getting spoiled in the public? She accused me, her face swelling up in anger and hatred for me. I will not leave you at any cost, witch. Tears welled up in my eyes, since I could cite nothing in my defense. I was waiting for Mr. Singhania to answer the rudeness she exhibited and defend me in the same manner he had done earlier at the hospital. I was also confident that he would rescue me at any cost. Not even a few minutes had passed when my confidence began crumbling into pieces. Mr. Singhania wasn't blurting out even a single word to nullify the false charges raised against me. He was sitting in his wheelchair in complete silence, while my heart was aching inside my chest. His silence now hurt me more than the pain because of the slap full of false accusations. The sting on my cheek would fade, but his refusal to speak in my favor felt permanent, like a verdict passed without a trial. Chapter 7: Fight or Flight. The new visitors were annoying, and I was feeling uncomfortable in their company. Kiran was accusing me of a rumored fling with Mr. Singhania and even going to the extent of slapping me. I couldn't reveal the truth to them since Mr. Karthik had taught me to use my intelligence and suspect every individual we met during the process of our investigation. Mr. Singhania owned money and fame, which made it possible for anyone to plot and get him killed. When Mr. Singhania didn't react to Kiran's actions, the other kind young man wearing blue spectacles came to my rescue. He caught hold of Kiran's hand. Why are you blaming her unnecessarily? It's Siddharth who has been in a relationship with her and seems to be happy in it. Why are you losing your patience? You know nothing, Pratik. Sid wouldn't have brought her home if she hadn't spent a night with him at the hospital, she yelled, hatching a newly cooked tale for the media. Everything was so ridiculously occurring to me, making the situation more complicated than my simple professional life. I could not bear patience anymore. My self-esteem was being marred, and Kiran's rude comments also infuriated me. I was not bound to tolerate anyone's rants with no fault of mine. Kiran attempted to hit me once again, but I was faster, shackling her suspended hand against her belly immediately and twisting it. Everyone, including Mr. Singhania, was flabbergasted with my violent step, but I knew I wasn't much of an introvert when it came to protecting my own morals. You'd better stay within your limits, Miss Kiran. You can't even imagine the condition he was in when I found him last night. I gasped closer to her ear, gritting my teeth in rage. I did not like my behavior, but it was she who compelled me to do so. Sid, she is being a spiteful bitch. Tell her to get out of our way. Kiran was struggling hard to free herself from my clutches. Sapna, get back to the room now, Mr. Singhania yelled, pronouncing my name in a fit of temper. I had never expected him to be siding with Kiran, with someone who was openly insulting my relationship with him. But Mr. Siddharth, it was Kiran who slapped me first, and I tried to deny but trailed off when I saw the rarest temper in his brilliant blue eyes. Didn't you hear what I said? Just move away now. He concluded his statement, not meeting my painful eyes again. I released Kiran from my grip and quietly ran to his bedroom. Tears had already cornered my eyes when I took a last glance at him before moving away. I so wished he noticed me crying or felt sympathetic toward the emotions I carried within me. I had now given up on the case. It would be better for me to discuss it with Mr. Karthik before withdrawing from it. Thus I called Mr. Karthik, and he received it quite early. I breathed hard before mumbling, Mr. Karthik, I am Miss Verma. Is everything all right there? Have you found anything suspicious? I am already on my way to Siddharth's bungalow. He spoke over the phone call, the sound of traffic in the background piercing my ears. Nothing is all right, Mr. Karthik. If I waste even a single minute here, you will be responsible for the disaster caused to my life, I blurted out angrily. You are losing your patience. Has Siddharth done anything? He asked, and I narrated the whole incident. I could hear him laughing over the speaker. His sense of humor annoyed me most of the time. I didn't crack a joke, right? I groaned loudly, letting out a brief sigh from my mouth. You didn't, but Siddharth cracked jokes with you. Don't you dare leave his house without meeting me. I will be there soon. He disconnected the call. He sometimes sounded as if he were my foster father, always imposing impossible orders on me and binding me to follow them at any cost. Something clicked in my mind the next minute when I recalled every incident from the past couple of days. Mr. Singhania's responsibility was still vested in me, and I was now at fault for leaving him alone amongst the annoying visitors. Though Mr. Singhania had himself ordered me to move away, was it a right decision on my part to leave him in their hands when I knew his life was in danger from some mysterious attacker? Was it necessary to put priority on my humiliation and ignore the danger lurking around him? When I reached the living room, I was already running short of breath. Mr. Singhania and his visitors were chatting and giggling together, and I heaved a sigh upon finding him safe. My eyes traveled to a confined corner behind a pillar next to the large hall, a suitable hiding place to keep an eye on them without letting them know of my presence. Mr. Singhania was in his wheelchair, while Kiran was seated on another chair next to him. She was clutching his arm sideways, and Pratik sat on a chair next to her, his hand resting on the armrest of Kiran's chair. The other two visitors were also encircling Mr. Singhania's chair. I wondered if something was really brewing between Kiran and Mr. Singhania, tormenting my innocent heart because of her insults. I waited impatiently for Mr. Karthik's arrival, and the pendulum of the wall clock struck 5 times. It was already evening, but the visitors weren't ready to leave at all. Kiran was now clasping Mr. Singhania's palm, and Pratik was holding him by his shoulders to help him stand on his limbs. He limped at first, while Pratik gave him firm support with Kiran by his side. They were trying to move him to the sofa, and I could hear Mr. Singhania moan in pain. I felt my heart ache for him, but I couldn't go near him to ease his pain. He had strictly forbidden me. Before the group could make it to the sofa, there was a loud bang on the table. My lips widened into a relieved smile when I saw Mr. Karthik entering through the main door carrying some luggage. Mr. Karthik held Mr. Singhania by his shoulders, separating the visitors from him. They were taken aback by the sudden development, while my heart rejoiced, feeling better with the entrance of my rescuer. Sapna, my child, where are you? Can you come here? Mr. Karthik summoned me in an unusually loud voice, impatience taking a toll on his mouth. Dislodging myself from my hidden shelter, I walked towards them wearing only my tank top and a pair of trousers this time. I had done away with my stole because of some other instincts, leaving my shoulders exposed. As I neared them, my eyes caught a glimpse of Mr. Singhania, and it was so surprising to find out that he was equally gazing at me. His blue eyes didn't contain the usual temper or disappointment. Rather, it possessed a compassion of some sort, but I didn't know what it was. Where are you, my girl? Don't you see these people were trying to shift him in the wrong way? This could have hurt his wounds. Don't these trials go against medical precautions? Mr. Karthik asked me while helping Mr. Singhania to sit carefully in the wheelchair again. I did not know how to react, but he was true. A normal person could not shift a terribly disabled patient without the consent of doctors or therapists. A minor mistake could be life-threatening, going against the ethics of doctors like mine. I nodded my head to agree with what Mr. Karthik said. Mr. Singhania was gazing at his foot blankly, trying to avoid meeting my eyes. He was gazing at me earlier, but when I went near him, he turned his face away. I did not know what mistake I had committed again to displease him so much. Who are you all? Mr. Karthik sternly asked the four individuals, widening his eyes. Irritated, Kiran was about to intervene when I saw Pratik preventing her by squeezing her wrist. Instead, he himself responded, Sir, we are very sorry for it. We should not have done that, moved Siddharth like that. Just answer me whatever has been asked. Mr. Karthik was always stringent in his inquiries. We are his college friends and often spend time together. Pratik genuinely replied, clearing his throat. So what are you doing here? He must be in the mood to hang out today. Am I right? Mr. Karthik and his sarcastic remarks were always funny, and I adored him every time he did it. Who are you and why are you trying to get Sid on your side by accusing us? Kiran gritted her teeth in anger while I pressed myself closer to Mr. Singhania's wheelchair, my arm touching his hand sideways and the warmth of his skin immediately percolating into my body. Mr. Karthik inhaled deeply as he replied, I am the senior security head of the crime branch, Karthik Ghoshal. I hope it clears our misconception now, and I take you all under my benefit of doubt until his case is solved. I loved how Mr. Karthik used his tactics to handle such tough situations in a calm but intelligent way. He had never lost his cool even in difficult situations. I wanted to learn the art from him because I had always been a volatile person. My mood used to fluctuate now and then, decided hastily, and I kept losing my calm over petty issues without pondering over it. What did we do? The second young man spoke for the first time. Uday is right, sir. What did we do? We were only looking after our ailing friend. The second girl standing next to Kiran interrupted. Are you spokespeople for one another? Mr. Karthik interrogated, continuing with his smart tactics. Sir, we already asked for an apology. Pratik was trying to be humble. He was better behaved than the rest. You are safer that way if you leave the house immediately, Mr. Karthik ordered vehemently. They were still trying to protest, but Mr. Singhania interrupted at last, surprising everyone in the room. I think you have heard what Sir just said. We will meet later once I am back on my feet. Adieu. I loved the murderous look on Kiran's face when Mr. Singhania finally spoke in our favor, or rather in Mr. Karthik's favor. He didn't speak in my favor, and I already despised him for the behavior he displayed towards me. Kiran gave me a tempestuous glare before leaving the place. Only the three of us were left behind now, and a casual silence prevailed in the room until Mr. Karthik spoke. Miss Verma, what are you saying? You wanted to drop this case. No, I fumbled, slightly biting my tongue when I sensed Mr. Singhania's stare on me, making it difficult for me to dictate my decision. You can't leave us in the middle of everything, Miss Verma. I have already forwarded the letter of request to your department. Mr. Karthik was too quick to play the trick on me. They will release you soon. But I scratched my head to contemplate my decision. Mr. Singhania tilted his face towards Mr. Karthik as he interrupted. Sir, can I speak to her personally once? It was true Mr. Singhania didn't like me, and I wasn't comfortable working with him. Though Mr. Karthik was an oracle in turning things to his favor, I was unaware of his reasons for keeping me bound to it. What should be my adrenaline choice now? To fight or to flight?